On today's video, we are going to be taking 4 items that I thrifted and turning them into whimsical spring decor. I think you're really going to enjoy these 4 projects. 3 of them are going to be a little bit more detailed and one is going to be very simple and quick. Let's get started. This first project I'm calling the Woodland Riser. This was a wood round that I purchased and it already had this watermelon painted on the wood. I really debated back and forth if I should just make a riser, put it in my booth as is, and leave it. But I decided to make it over because it was a great surface and it's just not really my style anymore. It reminds me of something I would have had in the 90s. So what I decided to do is to make it into a riser. So I took these wood blocks that I have. When I'm out thrifting, I like to purchase kids' wood blocks, and I have quite a few of them up in my attic. I have a walk-in attic, and I keep a bunch of these wood blocks so that I can make them into projects. These just happen to be natural wood, so they worked out perfectly. So what I'm doing now is I had previously measured where I wanted to put these little blocks, and then I'm just using my tight bond glue and I'm gluing them onto the surface. Now my husband said in the video they looked a little bit crooked, but that's just the angle of the camera. For some reason, sometimes when you video certain things, it looks a little bit crooked, but it's not. So what I did is I just pressed them down, I quickly turned it over, and then I set something heavy on top of it so that it would dry completely. The glue has dried and the riser is now ready to be painted. The little blocks have completely adhered to the wood round. So now I'm taking out my paint, my Fusion Mineral paint in the color Everett. Y'all know I love this color. I've painted several things in my videos. This color, it's an army green with a touch of gray. It is good year round. It's perfect for the winter, spring, or year round. It's just a really soft and pleasing color. I painted the top and I went around the edges as well so that the edges and the top would be painted in this color Everett. The good thing about Fusion Mineral paint is you don't need to prime. It has a built-in primer. It's self-leveling, meaning the paint will level out, and it has a built-in top coat so you don't have to use a sealer on this paint. So after it had dried completely, I then took out my Whispering Willow transfer set from Iron Orchid Designs. Now I love this little set. I originally was going to do some more of the fronds, stamps, or transfer set, but I decided to go into a different direction. I decided to pull out this transfer set. It's a fun, whimsical little set with all kinds of flowers and little animals. It's really a sweet set and it's really pretty. I could not decide which one of these transfers to use. In fact, I didn't even know that I had this footage, and I went back and I decided just to use some. I thought I had turned the camera off, but I actually had turned it on. So here I am just looking through the different pictures, transfers, and it's good so you can actually see what comes in this transfer set. I couldn't make up my mind, so I asked my daughter which one she liked, and she's very decisive. She wanted that little hedgehog, so the hedgehog it was. Just wanted to take a minute and say welcome. If this is your first time here, I am so happy that you are here. And if you have been here before, welcome back. Thank you so much for taking your time to spend with me here today. So like I said earlier, we're going to have a lot of fun. This is a little bit more intense project. The next one is going to be super fast. I think you're really going to love the third project, and I think you will also enjoy the last project as well. So stick around and let's have some fun. I knew I didn't want the hedgehog there by himself, so I decided to add some greenery, some of the pink flowers, and then also a few mushrooms. I thought that would make a perfect little spring riser. So here I am just looking through the papers, and then I decided to start cutting out the different items, the different botanical prints and things like that that I wanted to use. Once I cut out the different transfers, I then just started arranging them and kind of making a collage and trying to vary the height so that it had some interest. You can see in this book that there are all kinds of different little spring animals and florals, botanicals, mushrooms, all kinds of really neat designs that will allow you to make multiple projects. Now you could just put one transfer on this piece, but I decided to layer them and just have a little bit of fun with this. So what do y'all think about this project so far? Do you enjoy using transfers, or have you ever used transfers? If you've never used them, or if you have and you would like to purchase them, I have them listed on my website, www.jbowenandcompany.com. I'll put that right there in the description. So if you want to purchase any of the Iron Orchid Design transfers, molds, products, and any of the paints and supplies that you're going to see in this video, you can purchase them on that website, which will be right there in the description. Okay, so now you can see I've kind of layered them up, and I'm going to make them into this interesting little collage. So after they're all on, you have to then take them off. And if you've never used an IOD transfer, they are very easy. It's like a fancy sticker for adults. So what you're going to do is you're just going to pull off that white backing. You're going to place the transfer on your piece, and then you're going to take that little stick that comes in every transfer set, and you're just going to rub on it. If you rub on it and pull at the same time, it will easily come off. This is a very simple process. You can't really mess it up. Well, you can. I've done it a few times, but it's pretty easy, and I think you'll be able to get the hang of it very quickly. And then you're just going to rub and pull, and then you're going to take that leftover clear backing or the top part, and then you're just going to rub it so on top of the transfer so that the transfer adheres to your piece. And that's all you do. After you do that, you do have to seal your piece, because if you don't, the transfer could come off. So why don't y'all just watch as I layer up these different pieces and make this gorgeous spring design. I'm loving how this is looking, but I thought it needed a little extra bling. Originally, I thought I would add a little bit of that one of those gold transfers that we have, but it was somewhere in my garage and it's too cold to go out there. So I decided to pull out this rose toile stamp and just use a stamp to give it a little extra bling. This is a gorgeous stamp, and I just recently added it to my website. The first time that you are going to use your stamp, you need to lightly sand it and then wipe it back with a wet wipe. So I decided to use my bronze metallic paint from Fusion Mineral Paint, and I just took the stamp right there and I applied some on there, and then I'm just going to add this stamp around the edge just to give it a little bit extra bling. You're not going to be able to see it very much, but it just adds a little bit something extra. So once you stamp your piece, you need to make sure that you clean it off, because this paint will stick to your stamp and you don't want that. So go ahead and wipe it off after you finish. As you can see, I'm dipping my paintbrush into the paint and then I'm wiping some of it off. So it's almost like a dry brush because you don't want too much paint on your stamp or it will just look all globby instead of like a stamp. So that's why I'm wiping it off. And now I'm just taking the stamp very carefully and then I'm just going to stamp around the edges. One of the things that I love about Iron Orchid Designs products is that you can be as creative as you want to be. You can make all kinds of different decorations, gifts, home decor, whatever with these pieces, and you can be simple or you can go all out or whatever you want to do on your own individual piece. Just because other people have the same exact transfer set doesn't mean that every piece is going to look alike. People have different styles and different tastes and things like that, and that will make your projects different than everyone else. But if you want them the same as other people, you can also copy their ideas as well, and that's amazing too. So if you're interested in joining a group of people that are into crafting and possibly they have a booth and they like to make home decor and thrift flips and that kind of thing, you can join my creative group. It's J. Bowen and Company Creative Community. It's over on Facebook. That will also be in the description. And that's a place where you can share your projects with me as well as with other people. And we can share tips, ideas, inspiration. Because on this channel, share with you my ideas, but I love to see your ideas as well. So if you'd like to join that free group, just hit that button in the description. You'll see where it says you can join for free. Remember to always clean off your stamp so that it's ready for the next time. So next thing I did is turned it over and I gave the wood, I wanted to keep it natural, so I just took out my Fusion Mineral Wax, aging wax, and I gave it a quick coat and then I rubbed it off. And now I'm taking Rethunk Junk's newest matte finish. It's a matte top coat and I'm giving it a nice coat of this. You just want to make sure that you have plenty of product on your brush, that your piece is completely covered. You do long, straight, brush strokes, and then you're going to let it dry for approximately 8 hours. I found that it was dry to the touch in a very short period of time, under an hour. But just to make sure that it cures, you want to let it sit there for a longer amount of time. Here is the before, and now for the final reveal. Y'all let me know what you think about this first project, and if you like it, give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. Hit that bell notification so you don't miss out on the next projects. If you like this project, please hit that like button and consider subscribing so you don't miss out on the next videos. The next project, this is a very quick one, and then on to the next one that I think you're going to love. This is what I'm calling a round wood tray. It's a simple tray that I picked up. Just needed a little bit of love and life brought into it. So the first thing I did is I took out my Clorox wet wipes and I just cleaned it off, sanitized it, and then I let it dry. I just cleaned the top, cleaned the bottom, and then I gave it a light sand. After it was completely dry, I took out my hemp oil from Fusion Mineral Paint. This is a food safe oil, and then I just poured a little bit on there and then just wiped it until it just soaked in and then rubbed off the excess. And that's it. Whenever I find beautiful pieces of wood, I like to keep them as is and just give them a little clean and some oil, and they turn into beautiful home decor. Y'all, welcome to my living room slash kitchen slash paint studio. This is where I do all of my painting and projects. I usually just don't show you where I am. I like to be with my family, so whenever I'm painting, I like to be in the living area with my kiddos. If you like that project, give me a like if you haven't already. Okay, on to the terracotta picture. Okay, so this was a random thrifted find that I found several years ago, back when I was making over everything into that faux concrete several years ago. I attempted that with this piece, never really liked it, but I had it in my booth. It never sold, and then one day I decided to bring it home, and it's been in my garage ever since. And I didn't really know what to do with it. I just couldn't think of what color would look right. And when I brought it home, it had a little bitty chip in the nozzle part of it, and it was terracotta. So after thinking on it for a while, I thought, I should take this back to its roots and make it look like a terracotta watering can, because it is very rustic looking. It looks like someone made this handmade out of some kind of clay. So I took out this iron clay color from Fusion Mineral Paint. It is a beautiful orange, kind of just a terracotta, perfect terracotta color is how I would describe it. It's one of the newest colors released by Fusion Mineral Paint, and I gave it a quick coat of paint. Now, I didn't stop there. We're going to have some fun with this piece. I think you're going to enjoy what we did once I get it finished painted. So after I paint it, I'm going to let it dry, and then we're going to apply some Iron Orchid Designs, or IOD as we call them, molds. This is the fun part. I actually really, really, really love using molds. I just don't use them enough. And some exciting news, the new IOD release, I can't tell you any of the details when it's going to be, what the release is, but y'all, I have seen the new IOD products, and I think you are going to absolutely love them. So stay tuned, because they will be coming out soon, and I will be carrying them all on my website and in my store in Beaufort, Georgia. So y'all get ready, because you're going to love the new products. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to take out some cornstarch, and you're going to put it in the mold that you're going to want to use. This is the toadstool mold. I love this mold. It is so fun and so whimsical, and it just really adds a lot to your piece. I've used it multiple times. So I took out my clay, my IOD clay, air dry clay, and I just rolled it up in a ball because it was very cold. It's been in my garage. My garage isn't freezing, but it is cold. And I just rolled it in my hands to warm it up, and then you can see I'm just pressing it into the mold. I'm going to do a couple of the mushrooms at one time, and what you're going to do is you're just going to roll it up, warm up your clay, press it into your piece, into your mold. If you have a brayer, it's good because it evens it out and it makes it flat, your clay flat. And then you're just going to pinch off the excess. So here I am just pinching off the excess. Then I'm rolling it with my brayer, and then I'm just taking off the excess around the mold. There usually is a little bit that's still left on your mold when you take it off, but it's really easy. You can just press it with your fingers and get it off. So after I did that, you're going to turn it over and let the gravity help you pull your mold out. Be very careful, that little stem is delicate. Even if it messes up, it's okay. You can just press it back together. It's not any big deal. Or you can just redo the clay and put it back in your mold. So don't fret with that. So after you have done all of your molds. I'm going to do one more, that larger size. It's actually the medium size. I didn't use the biggest one. I used the next biggest one and then the two others. But after you put your clay in there and you take your mold out of, your casting out of your mold, then we're going to apply it with Titebond onto the water pitcher. Now the paint is completely dry. My water pitcher has been drying for several days, so it's completely dry, at least to the touch. Hasn't completely cured, but dry to the touch. We're then going to glue these into an arrangement onto the watering can. Actually, it's not really a can because it's made out of this clay, but I think y'all know what I'm saying. This watering pot, pitcher, whatever it is. So here it is. I'm trying to be very careful with it. I have to turn it over, use that Titebond glue. You're just going to rub it on. I was a little bit out of the camera shot there. I'm sorry, but I realized I was, and here in a second I'll move it back up in the screen so you can see it better. But right now I'm just smoothing around that glue so it's completely covering that mold. I'm then pressing it onto the pitcher, and you just want to press it and make sure that there's not space between your mold and your piece. I decided that it would be nice to add a little butterfly, so I took out this little butterfly mold. I can't remember offhand what the name of that is, but it'll be right there in my description. And I decided to make a little butterfly mold or a little butterfly casting and put it right there on the picture as well, just to add a little something special to it. Well, see what happened with my brayer? It made the clay come right out, so I just put some cornstarch back in there, rolled it up again, and did it again. That happens to all of us, so if it happens to you, it's just no big deal. Now I'm just using my fingers along the edges to press it in, and then there was a little bitty, it wasn't really like a little crack or something, just a little mark. So I just dipped my finger in water and then just rubbed it on it. I took several clay classes back when I was in college. I know some of you know, but I have a degree in studio art, and I love taking clay. It was fun. That's what we called it. We made pottery. I learned how to throw clay on the wheel and build all kind of things. It was fun. We made stuff like this whenever I was in school back a long time ago. Anyway, so after you have it all on there, you want to then take your paint and paint it. Everyone seems to be painting it when it's wet, which seems odd to me, but hey, I do that too. You can paint it. They say it prevents cracking. I don't really know if it does, but here you go. I just went ahead and gave it another coat with that iron clay color. Isn't that a beautiful color? I just love that color. I think it's perfect for this time of year, for really any time of year, but the spring and summer especially. It looks really good on projects. So after we give it a paint job, we're going to let it dry again. And then we are going to add some wax to this project. Wow, that really sounded country the way I said wax. One of my friends told me she enjoyed hearing my accent, and I'm always like, what accent? I'd like to tease them. I'm originally from Texas. Okay, so now we are pulling out the white wax from DIY paint. Y'all, I had never used the white wax from DIY paint until now, and this stuff is amazing. There is so much white pigment in the wax. The other wax I had tried didn't have near this much pigment in it, so this was so cool to see. A lot of times before I would do a whitewash because the wax didn't really give that much effect, but this is insane and it is absolutely gorgeous and it is so fun. It just gives so much white in the wax. So you're just going to paint it on and then wipe it back. It's going to make those details show up, and then it's going to give you that look of fresh terracotta that has a little bit of the white to it. Usually when I do spring projects, I don't use too much of the aging wax, so I'm just going to leave it with the white wax, and that's all. I think it makes it look really fresh and pretty, and I just love this terracotta look. If y'all like it too, don't forget to subscribe, give me a like, and leave me a comment. I absolutely love to hear y'all's comments. Y'all have really been giving me a lot of comments on my last video where I did a spring thrift flip as well, but I used very bright colors. I used a bunch of neon green and pinks and other colors, and y'all love that. So y'all leave me a comment. I promise I'll get back to you, and I love hearing from you. And here is the final reveal. Okay, now onto the black toolbox. This is a very special project for me. I picked up this black toolbox with that cool little ruler on it. It was filthy, dirty, grimy, gross, and I put it in the dishwasher and I ran it through the dishwasher by itself, and it took off all that gunk. And when I took it out of the dishwasher, some of the paint had come off. There was still rust on it. So I decided to take it out and just spray it with some black paint first, a Rust-Oleum primer paint, so that the rust didn't come through, because the purpose of this box is going to be for something that there cannot be any rust in the box. So I wanted to get all of the rust out. And then I took out the little black dress by DIY Paint. This is a clay-based paint, and I decided to give it a coat of the paint on the outside and on the inside. This paint does not have a sealer in it, so you do have to seal it. If you don't seal it, it's water activated and it will just wash off, wipe off, just like, I call it like if you were painting with a mud, it will wipe off just that easily. So you have to put a sealer on it. If you've been watching my channel for long, you may have watched a video where I told you that one of my children, my oldest son, became very sick before Christmas and we had to go to the emergency room. I think I actually told you we had to go to the emergency room and not the reason why. At that time, I was not comfortable sharing with you, and I wanted my son's permission before I shared this information with you. So before Christmas, he became very sick. He was not acting like himself. He's 17 years old. He's a very smart kid. He's always made straight A's in school, but he just started acting very differently. First, we didn't think anything was wrong, but at some point we realized that something was very wrong and he was very sick. And one of the things I want to do is I want to make people aware of this if they are not aware of it. But turned out my son ended up having type 1 diabetes, and he'd gone into diabetic ketoacidosis, which is a very serious condition. And so since then, he went into the hospital. We were there for 3 nights. We went there on December 20th. We got out on, I believe, the 22nd or 23rd. And now we have been living, or he has been living with type 1 diabetes. But as a mother of a child with type 1 diabetes, I have learned a lot. And one of the things is you have to have all these different insulin shots and needles, and you have to prick your finger. Anyway, it's a whole lot of things. And we've been keeping the supplies and baskets and things like that. And he has it all ready for when he takes it to school. He takes it in a little North Face bag and all that. But when we're at the house, I thought it would be good for him to have a box to put all of his supplies in. So when I was going to make this box over, I saw it in my garage. I thought that would be a perfect box, but I wanted to match the decor of our house and not make it too girly, so that, wherever it is, it's not going to stand out like some kind of, bright blue color or something that doesn't go with our house. So I'm making this box for him to keep all of his supplies in. Now, if he decides he doesn't want it, of course I can keep it and use it for something else. So what you saw me doing before is I put the big top coat on it to seal it. You need to put the big top sealer on it first and then let it dry. And then after it dried, then you can put on your transfers. And I'm using some transfers from that Franz transfer set, the botanicals. I'm not going to be too extra with it because I don't want it to, be too girly or anything like that. I told him I wanted it to blend in with our decor, and he understood, and he's fine with it. I asked him if he wanted me to show a picture of it. He didn't even really care, but I sent it to him anyway. He's at his dad's this weekend. But he's doing good. He had lost 28 pounds in about 3 weeks. But with teenagers, they wear the baggy clothes. You can't always tell what's going on. And like I said, he just become very sick. But he's well now, and we're living with this. And one of my missions now is just to make people aware of the symptoms and signs, because I certainly didn't know. But if you have a child that has had rapid weight loss, they're acting lethargic, they're different than they had been acting before, they're urinating often, they're drinking more than they usually do, water and liquids and things like that, they may have diabetes. Now, I'm not a doctor and I can't give out medical advice or anything like that, but those were the symptoms and signs that we had, plus some other ones as well. And it's a very serious condition, but we have it under control. It could have been a lot worse, but this little box is special to me because of that. It's for my son. His name is Reed. Off camera, I added an additional coat of sealer, big top sealer from DIY Paint, which does give it a little bit of sheen. Here is a reminder of the before, and now here is the after. If you like this little box, give me a thumbs up. Thank y'all so much for staying here with me and spending this time with me. I know your time is precious and I really appreciate it. Y'all have a great day. And I'll see you next time.